Welcome to the signing day edition of the Jack Swarbrick Show, joined by my co-host Joe Schmidt and our very special guest, Coach Brian Kelly. Coach, this started off as the Jack Swarbrick Show. It became the Jack Swarbrick and Joe Schmidt Show. Last week, during the intro, my name wasn't mentioned. It was just the Joe Schmidt Show.
And then, they redid it.
And then this week, I get mail. Fan mail, first fan mail I've ever gotten from my radio television show, and it said, "Dear Mr. Swarbrick, I'm delighted to hear that Joe Schmidt will be continuing on your show for the remainder of the semester. Please extend my thanks to him for his excellent leadership."
Oh, outstanding!
Oh my gosh!
I know how that goes.
I'm like along for the ride here.
Yeah.
I've become a piece of furniture on my own show.
I just want to say that I had nothing to do with that letter, and I apologize.
How is your uncle?
Yeah.
I was going to say it was a dead giveaway.
I was going to say
The California address gave it away.
His last name is Schmidt with one letter missing.
Well, he's prior to 4 months ago, he'd never done this, and now he's like hosting the entire day here, and they let me come in for 40 minutes and then get the hell out, right?
I don't know. I just think you weren't available, so they went next down the list, and I was the end of the line.
Well, fortunately, we got the best possible guest. Coach, thanks so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And I want to get to signing day, but first of all, I want to touch on the best announcement I get to make in my job, and that was you're going to be with us for longer than the AD's probably going to be with us. We're thrilled to announce a 6-year.
As you know, this is a partnership, and I guess that's one of the great things is that I get a chance to work with you, and we've worked together in putting this program back to where we all believe it should be, and that's one of the top football programs in the country. So thank you for that opportunity. You've been obviously spearheading this and working with me hand in hand in getting this program back. And I think we're in a great position to continue to build it moving into the future. And, we get to recruit guys like this, Joe Schmidt, on a day-to-day basis. There isn't a better place to be but to be here at Notre Dame. So thank you for the opportunity. And we can't wait for more signing days like this that we're having today.
Yeah, no, we're thrilled. And, I tell the story often, but the first time you and I met to discuss your interest in this position, we spent the vast majority of that interview talking about how to build a program. Mm-hmm. And it's been so much fun to watch over the years. You tackle every one of those issues. We fix medical services, we fix strength and conditioning, we fix nutrition, we fix the schedule so it works best for the kids relative to school and this. What are the program elements we're going to be focused on in the next few years?
I think, the science piece is very important because no longer is it just about strength and conditioning. It's about durability. It's the ability to continue to play at an optimal level, but also, with the rigors of a college schedule, and particularly here at Notre Dame, is how do we maximize the time, but how do we maximize in getting the most out of our student athletes and not lose them? As you know, we've had a couple of years here in a rough stretch of injuries, and how do we have an injury prevention protocol that brings in the very best science? And you've done a great job of reaching out and getting us those kind of resources. So I think tapping into that is probably the next piece, as well as providing the resources for our student athletes, continuing to look at facilities, continuing to give our student athletes maybe that little edge, because everybody's got 85 scholarships. Everybody, if you look at the national recruiting today, it's national with Ohio State and Michigan and Notre Dame and, all over the country now are getting great student athletes. We've got to provide them the resources, and I know our university is committed to that.
You talk a little about those resources, and really I think what separates Notre Dame is that we don't coddle the athletes here, and
right.
it's a rigorous program of athletics, academics, and you're going to be having a faith element is there as well. How do you decide what is necessary for optimal performance, rather than just unnecessary fluff where we might be kind of going too far in that direction for Notre Dame?
That's a great question, Joe, and I think as you look at that, there is a line where you have to be very sensitive and understanding when do you push that, because you don't want to be soft mentally and physically either, right? You want to put a football team on there that is tough mentally and tough physically, but yet you don't want to break them. And so I think that there's a feel that you have to have. Science will help us with that.
Right.
25 years of experience as a head coach has helped me get a sense of our football team as to when to push and and when to back off. So some of it is art, some of it is science. But understanding that at Notre Dame, it's 365 days a year that we have to be cognizant of our student and student athlete and fitting the segments of their training and their academics and preparing for the season is very important.
Is there something other than that feel and science base that you can kind of do to monitor the pulse of a team? Because I really have never been around someone that's in a coaching position that can monitor a team so well, or is it just because of experience?
No, I think it's feedback. It's making sure that you're empowering your assistant coaches, your strength team, as Jack talked about earlier, is getting the right people in the position to give you that and share that information. I think we can even do better in terms of sharing that information. But having a training staff and Rob Hunt and his staff and getting information from them and Paul Longo and his staff and getting information. Ryan Groom's in the equipment room, gaining information from him, and then, of course, our entire support staff. As much information as I can get, I'm a better leader, and I can lead better when I get more information, and I get great information from those guys.
Brian, there are all kinds of indicia of a really good program. One of them is when signing day is kind of routine.
Yes.
And today's gone according to plan, right?
It has. Look, we've done a very good job in all areas, and it's not just the 9 assistant coaches and Mike Elston spearheading us, Aaron Canny, Jasmine Johnson. They've done an incredible job in terms of the day-to-day, minutia of recruiting, and there's so much that goes to it, so much. And Luke Pitcher's done a great job of taking that Notre Dame story and putting it to social media and graphics, which we have to do today. All of that is so important, but we have such a great product, and it's called Notre Dame. And so when we are able to talk about Notre Dame, there's not a lot of flipping. You make a choice on Notre Dame, not because, it's going to be great to wear that uniform. No, you're going to choose Notre Dame, and that's like the 10th on the list. You're going to choose it because of the community and the spirit and the opportunity to get a great degree. That's why we don't have a lot of guys flipping, because they've made a conscious choice to go to Notre Dame.
You look at the class that's pretty much complete at this point. Maybe there'll be a little bit of change here at the end. But what can you say about this class as a whole? From what I've gathered from the assistant coaches, it's an incredibly close, group of guys that have already been talking, communicating. What can you say about them?
I like them. I like each one of them.
That's good, right?
And I got to like them because I've got to be with them, and I've been in it long enough that there has to be that component of, they can't be self-centered. They've got to be guys that understand that this is a team game. There'll be plenty of time for accolades for your individual performances, but understand the team concept, understand that what they're getting into here at Notre Dame, that it's a little harder, and you're going to have to work while you're here. As a football player, each one of them has the drive to want to be the best, and they're not afraid of the bright lights. They don't mind that they're going to be on one of the grandest stages, if not the grandest stage in all of college football, and I like that about guys. So when it is their chance, Josh Adams as a true freshman, to step in and perform at a high level, he's not timid, he's not afraid. Obviously our motto is the pride and tradition of Notre Dame football is not left to the weak, the timid, or the non-committed. I want those kind of guys, and I think we see that in all the guys we recruited.
Coach, our fans tend to look at height, weight, 40 time. Two things, though, for us, I know, are really important, and I just want your thoughts on how you evaluate them. One is fit with this place,
yep,
and the other is the potential to give us leadership, because that's the delta from year to year.
Sure. Well, first of all, the fit happens for me when they get a chance to come on campus. I don't think you really can get Notre Dame on the internet. You can get facts and figures, and those are really good. Graduation rates are very stark when you put them up against others, and they can see that. That probably gets you on the plane, but it doesn't get you to say yes to Notre Dame until you get a chance to go around on this campus and you come back and you say there's something special about Notre Dame. And then I can tell you what's special about Notre Dame: the people, the faculty, the faith, the football, all the things that it will give you later down the line. So that's the first piece. That's important. Then from a leadership standpoint, all of these young men are making a bold decision in their life. They're leaving geographically their home spot, their safety net, and they're all coming to the place that it's a first time for them. Very few, if any, are from this zip code. And so they're coming to a place for the first time, and it's a bold initiative on their part. They could stay in their area and make it easy. So each one of them is not afraid to step out on that ledge. And I think that's the first move to being a good leader. So they have it, then we've got to go cultivate it.
You know, you look at this entire list of guys, and it's obviously they have a ton of accolades between them all. How do you, because they all have to get your stamp of approval, how do you kind of decide where you need people, where you don't? Is it always a numbers game? How exactly do you decide how to build your roster?
Well, it's changed a little bit, the dynamic here in our 6 years. Now we have to count on early departures in our program, right? And be prepared for them. You know, be prepared that a Jalen Smith is probably not coming back. Be prepared, that a Will Fuller may not come back to Notre Dame. Be prepared and understanding that maybe C.J. Prosise has a great year and he may not be back. So preparing for that eventuality a year in advance, as well as the simply, you're out of eligibility, we got to replace you. That's one. The other is being balanced to have two deep and a swing player across the board, which is essentially where we've got ourselves to. We fell a little bit behind in the back end of our defense, but we made such a stark change in defensive structure and philosophy that we went from really a 3-4-2 gap defense to a 4-3 penetrating attacking defense, which required man-to-man coverage players. And so we had to change a little bit there on the run and put more emphasis in the defensive backfield. And that's what we did this year. We've addressed it. I think moving forward now, it's just managing who's leaving, who may leave early, and making sure that we're covered in those positions.
You've been at this business longer than almost anybody because you started so much younger than anyone gets to as a head coach. Give me the biggest change you've seen over those 25, 26 plus years in the area of recruiting.
I think primarily in the recruiting area, it's probably the transparency of it. And it's both good and bad. The transparency relative to we get better information. We're able to, it was before you got VHS tapes and, you had miles and miles of tape to get through on your desk. Now you can just get online and see a clip of somebody and make some evaluations. On the other end, all that information leads to over-promotion. Maybe somebody becomes a little bit more centered on his own promotion instead of thinking about a little more team and what this could be as a university decision than just himself. So it's a little bit too much information, I think, is probably the biggest thing that I would say. I'd like it to be scaled back a little bit. Look, my feeling is if today is the biggest day of your college career, that's not a good thing.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
You would hope it's a little bit better moving forward.
Coach, thanks so much for taking the
My
time
pleasure.
on an incredibly busy day. We are thrilled to have you leading our program well into the future,
Thank you.
and congratulations on a great class.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
You bet. We'll be back in a minute.